good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the breaking news. ABC, the network, pulling Jimmy Kimmel from the air. The network spokesperson is saying simply, Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. The word came after at least one major affiliate group said it would not broadcast the show, quote, for the foreseeable future. That group saying it, quote, strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk. Now, here are those comments from Monday's monologue.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and put everything they can to score political points from it.
So that was Monday night. This is today. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr on a conservative commentator Benny Johnson's podcast.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. Obviously, there's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. But again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at.
He called it the sickest conduct possible, those comments by Jimmy Kimmel. He went on to say, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct and take actions on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. Now, Chairman Carr is a Trump appointee. The president has spent a good deal of his second term going after the big three networks. Here he is online after CBS announced the impending cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. This is a quote from the president. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less in his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next, has even less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. Then, a few weeks later, there was this. The word is, and it's strong word at that, Jimmy Kimmel is next to go, the untalented late-night sweepstakes, and shortly thereafter Fallon will be gone. These are people with absolutely no talent who are paid millions of dollars for, in all cases, destroying what used to be great television. It's really good to see them go, and I hope I played a major part in it. Shortly after that, there was this on camera.
Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon.
Well, just moments ago, the administration's rapid response media team posted this online, which reads, they're doing their viewers a favor. Jimmy is a sick freak. Joining us is CNN contributor and co-host of the Pivot podcast, Kara Swisher, TV and media reporter for Los Angeles Times, Stephen Battaglio, former federal prosecutor, bestselling author Jeffrey Toobin, and CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter. Brian, I want to start with you because you reached out to the FCC Chairman Carr. What did he tell you?
And he sent me the gift that we will put on screen, Anderson. It's a picture from the old NBC sitcom The Office, of the stars of The Office celebrating some ridiculous moment on the show. So he is celebrating Disney's capitulation here. And I think we just step back and remember.
Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, Brian. We're putting this on the screen, and I just gotta. We can't. This is you. You said this is a tweet you said. I asked the FCC for a response, and the chairman of the FCC sent you this video.
Correct. I then replied and I said, do you have anything quotable I can use? But let me give you the context, Anderson. Carr and I have been in touch for months as I've been reporting on the FCC. He's been very aggressive about using the media to try to pressure companies like Disney. I remember he did this right before Christmas. He sent me a letter that he was sending to Bob Iger, the head of Disney, trying to pressure Disney over something else. And earlier tonight, Carr texted me celebrating the fact that Nexstar, the station owner you mentioned, who had already told Kimmel, he was celebrating, thanking Nexstar for taking that action. Disney was the first company to capitulate to President Trump. Before Inauguration Day, Disney settled that ABC lawsuit in December. That moment emboldened Trump and his allies, and this moment will embolden them again more.
Kara Swisher, what is your reaction to this?
Well, Brendan Carr is rather thirsty for attention. That's one thing, and it's unbecoming a public official. But that's nothing new for him. This is what he does. I mean, I think one thing you're leaving out is Nexstar is trying to do a very large merger with Tegna, and so they will do whatever it takes to satisfy someone
That's
who's
important.
a kind of a toady to Donald Trump.
Right. That's an important point because that merger would require the approval of the FCC. Correct?
Correct. That's correct. And so they're trying to do anything he can do to shake them down on behalf of Donald Trump. He's doing, which is including these people who are alleged free speech warriors have turned out to be, cancel culture fans. And so Jim Kimmel also tweeted something out saying he was so sorry for this death and we should put aside our differences. He's a comic. Comics should be able to make jokes. I don't understand. Of all the people that should have free speech, comics should absolutely have free speech. And so this week has been sort of an object lesson that they never really cared about free speech. They just care about power, and that's what's happening here.
Kara, I just want to I want to read the statement, or at least part of the press release that Nexstar issued. They said, Nexstar Media Group Inc. today announced that the company's owned and partner television station affiliated with the ABC television network will preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show. Nexstar strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk. Will replace the show with other programming in its ABC affiliated markets. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, and values of the local communities in which we are located. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at the current time, and we made the difficult decision to preempt the show. That's the company you're talking about, which is wanting to do this merger.
Yeah. That's correct, and they should have added, and we would really like to do this merger, so we'll do whatever it takes. And then it flows uphill. It's the opposite. It doesn't flow downhill. It flows uphill to ABC, to Bob Iger, who is obviously also suspended Kimmel. And people do, this happens in companies all the time where people say things and they get fired and this and that. But in this case, it's really a sensitive issue around free speech and comics and others being able to say what they want. And if this week has been anything, it's proof that free speech meant nothing to these people, and this was not their main concern. What their main concern was control of media, and this is yet another step, and they will continue to do so, including the lawsuit against the New York Times, the lawsuit against some publishing houses, and it follows universities and law firms. It's a textbook autocratic takeover.
We should point out, President Trump has just now put something on his social media saying, and I quote, "Great news for America. The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Sept, two total losers on fake NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC." President DJT. Jeff Toobin, I mean, what do you... Have we seen anything like this?
No, we haven't. But I think it's important to draw a distinction here. The private companies are not covered by the First Amendment. If ABC wants to fire Jimmy Kimmel or anyone else, that's their business, and the First Amendment doesn't guarantee anyone a place on late night television. The problem here is what's going on with the FCC and Carr, who is obviously trying to put pressure on ABC to get rid of Kimmel, and that's completely improper. Whether what he has done crossed the line to a violation of the First Amendment, I don't know. I mean, the facts are changing every few minutes. But the chilling part of this story is what the Trump administration in general is doing with regard to the media. It is using its power, often in the case of regulating mergers and the business aspects of what these companies do, in a way to extort these companies to toe the line, fire Jimmy Kimmel, crack down on 60 Minutes, force a payment of damages for something George Stephanopoulos said that never should have resulted in a lawsuit. All of this is the government taking action against private companies for speech, and that's really about that implicates the First Amendment.
Well, also we had the president, essentially threatening, I don't know if threatening is the right word, but going after Jonathan Karl and ABC just think it was yesterday. I don't know if we have that video ready to queue up, but in which he talked about the settlement that ABC gave him. He repeatedly said, "Look, they paid me $16 million." So let's play that.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the.
What do you think Dan Bondi's saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
You probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech, so maybe they'll have to go after you.
It's a perfect illustration of what happens when you capitulate once. You invite more capitulation again.
Stephen, I mean, have you ever seen anything like this?
I mean, you really have to wonder about the future of broadcast television because of this. It's unprecedented, and it's because this is an industry that is dependent on regulation, on government regulation. They get licenses to use the public airwaves, and now they're beholden to the government.
It's also the corporations which own, increasingly it's large corporations which own this, which are particularly vulnerable.
Well, that's why Brandon Carr realizes that's a pressure point, because TV station group owners like Nexstar, the largest one in the country, they are desperate for consolidation. Right now, they're limited to reaching 39% of the country. But tech companies can reach everybody, everywhere. They feel that's unfair. They want to consolidate. They want more stations, and it's the FCC who just decides that. Nexstar has to deal with to buy Tegna, and certainly ABC is probably looking at its options in terms of combining stations, swapping stations, buying more stations. They all want to do this. They all need FCC approval, and that's a key reason why I'm seeing this.
But it's not just broadcast television. It's all of media, including cable, for example. I mean, remember back in the first Trump administration when AT&T tried to buy Time, was buying Time Warner, the parent company of CNN. The Trump administration challenged that. So the Trump administration and any administration has tremendous tools to use if they want to punish broadcasters or any kind of news organizations if they want to use that power. And here we have them using that power over and over again.
Gary, it's so interesting because for so long we heard from conservatives and Republicans about liberal cancel culture and how awful it was. I mean, is this the Trump administration embracing the very cancel culture that so many conservatives, pointed to as a problem?
Either they were not telling the truth then, or they're not telling the truth now. I don't know which time was it. Of course not. They're using it as a position of power, which is, and it's absolutely right. There's consolidation that's necessary in order for these networks, which have been losing audience, to survive. But unfortunately, they are beholden to people like Brendan Carr, who's saying you can do it the easy way or the hard way. Only a 12-year-old would speak like that, by the way. And that's not how a government official does. They're supposed to make these decisions in the public interest. And in this case, Brendan Carr is making them in the Trump administration's interest. And this free speech nonsense is they don't have it is a virtue. It is an actual virtue. And you're right, companies can fire people, but the government should not be able to apply this much pressure to companies. But it extends to Tim Cook giving a golden statue to Donald Trump in order to get tariffs lower. It's an extortion culture. And that's what's happening. There are things, the critics, they don't like. And over at Fox News, one of the broadcasters said something really offensive about homeless people and got off without apology or whatever. Where is the FCC in those things? And that's the problem here, is it's not equally applied. It's only to critics whom Donald Trump, apparently programmer-in-chief, wants to offer on the air. And that will extend to CNN. It will extend to everywhere. And they will continue until someone stops them or there's another election.
Brian Stelter, you called this Orbanism. Can you explain that?
Or in Hungary, Viktor Orban did many of the same things we're now seeing the Trump administration do. Orban weakened public broadcasting, he muzzled independent media through autocratic carrots and sticks, and he incentivized the owners to fall in line. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the United States. Now, of course, this is widely being denounced by First Amendment groups and free expression groups tonight, Anderson. Those are the exact same groups who were busy yesterday condemning Trump's lawsuit against the New York Times. We're also hearing from Democratic politicians condemning this, but as Kara says, this will continue unless people in power are able to stop it.
Well, I just want to play again what it was that Jimmy Kimmel said, which was, according to the FCC chairman, was the sickest conduct possible. Let's play that.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and with everything they can to score political points from it.
He's essentially saying that, MAGA supporters were trying to prove that the killer was not one of their own, and that they were trying to score political points. It could be, maybe it's offensive, maybe you disagree with it, but it's not
wrong. I mean, this is a major event in American life. As always, people on both sides are trying to take political advantage of what happened here. I mean, you could say comedy. I mean, it's just,
you could say the leftists are focused on proving that the killer was not a leftist, and that would be equally accurate if this is accurate.
This is, I mean, of all things to be offended by, I've heard a lot more offensive things said in the aftermath of this terrible, awful event than that, and it just shows they are looking for reasons to get Jimmy Kimmel, and they manufactured one out of something that is, hardly a dramatic departure from what lots of people are saying.
I mean, I reached out to ABC earlier today to see if he was going to make some sort of statement, because this thing was building heat throughout the day. And you'd think he would have just addressed it at the top of the show and, said, maybe I got in over my skis or something. I mean, but it's incredibly rash. And the same thing with Colbert. They canceled the show because it was losing money. Did anybody sit down with him and say, hey, is there a cheaper way to do this? That conversation never took place. They're acting first and they're thinking about it later.
And Brian, I mean, Fox News has characterized this as Jimmy Kimmel suggesting that the suspect accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk was MAGA. I mean, I don't know, is that your reading of what he's saying? Because it sounds like he's saying that MAGA supporters are focused on proving that the killer was not one of their own and trying to score political points. Brian Stelter?
Yeah.
I think we lost Brian Stelter.
I'm sorry about that, Anderson.
No, it's right. I was just saying
that because this was in the, President Trump has been running Kimmel off the air for months. It's one of those Occam's razor situations where the pressure has been on Kimmel. The show knew it. The producers knew it. They were well aware of this pressure. And ultimately, Disney, one of the biggest media companies in the world, right, operating theme parks and cruise ships, all of it, they're going to have to say a lot more than the one-sentence statement they have put out so far.
Yeah, and the question, of course, what effect does this have on what else we see on television? Where does this end? And what does, these are all, Stephen Colbert is an incredibly talented and decent person. He will end up doing something interesting somewhere else, perhaps in a digital space where...
I really think media companies are going to think about getting out of the broadcast TV business.
You think so?
Yeah, and just go to streaming and say the hell with this. This is becoming too difficult to navigate.
But you can't hide from the government. Streaming, they have tremendous business interests. We're here at Cable News. We have we're part of a big company that has a lot of interactions with the government. There is no part of the media universe that can say, we don't care if we are harassed by the government. That's the problem with having a government that doesn't care about the First
This is
Amendment.
one segment that is really, where the government just really has short hairs.
What is unique here is that the administration is willing to pull levers which have never been pulled before. We saw this with the law firms. We saw this with the universities. This is.
Nixon talked about this in the 60s, about